Hey there, good folks. Dr. Charlie here. Welcome to today. Let's go ahead and take our three deep gathering, centering, joining breaths together, and we'll get started. As you breathe, breathe in things you want, and breathe out things you don't want. All the way into the bottom of your belly. And sigh on your release. Hi. Today I have been thinking about, I had been thinking about this last season, and then it got brought to my attention again. In last season, I do like 3 or 4 videos on how I personally self-sabotage. And I was kind of in that space for however long that was. And one more thing that I didn't bring up is how not taking breaks is a form of self-sabotage. Let me give you a quick story. When I was writing my master's thesis, I wrote and performed a one-woman show with no theater background. And as I was writing, and also did a full thesis. If you do a creative project at my school, we had the option of having kind of a shorter thesis. No, not only was my thesis not short, it was long. So in writing my thesis, I did what I now call thesis marathons. I would be writing for 12, 14, sometimes 16 hours a day. And I would do that for 4 or 5 days straight. And then, oh, I didn't want to see or think about or do anything related to my thesis for really weeks or months at a time, except I was on a very tight deadline and had to, once I got my feedback back, which was fairly quickly, I had to go back and do it again. And those literally almost killed me. Like that was such a taxing thing for my body. It brought me to a very, very dark place. My thesis was difficult anyway because though it's called something else, it was basically I got a master's degree in my own emotional awareness, where prior to that point in my life, I had turned my emotions off effectively. And right about 19 or so, I had decided to turn them back on. And then in my middle 20s, I went back to graduate school and got this master's degree that just took me so, so deep. Fast forward a few years to my doctoral dissertation and different story. So I understood what the process looked like. I understood that it would be a long process, an arduous process. And so I learned to chunk it down into manageable time frames. For me, it's about 3 hours, and 3 hours is with play, like I get to play. Focus time is about 2 hours and a quarter. And so if I knew I was really focused, I would set a timer for 2 and a quarter and just knock it out. If I knew I wasn't so focused, which was most of the time, I would set a timer for 3 hours, and that allowed me my playtime as well. I could incessantly check my email. I could play on Facebook or social media or do whatever it was that I did to distract myself and still get about 2.5, 2.25 hours of work, of actual work done. So really learning that about myself, but the idea of taking breaks, I didn't discover vacations until graduate school either. And vacations are the best thing ever. And I'm like, oh yes, this is not only feels good, but is necessary. It's necessary for me to take time away so that when I'm in the fray, when I'm in the thing, I can be there fully. I can be there at 100%. And recognizing that taking breaks is a necessary part of the process. And when you don't do it, it makes life difficult. When I don't take breaks, then I'm super tired and don't want to do anything. So taking the time away really does help me refocus. And so I really encourage you to take time away. And sometimes that's a siesta. Sometimes that's a short period of time, maybe half a day. One of my doctoral colleagues would talk about how he didn't feel right taking a full day away, but he'd take a 12-hour siesta and have to recharge. But really, that's so important. And when we don't do it, we do sabotage ourselves. We do find oh, I'm so tired I can't stand on my feet. So you know what I'm gonna do? You know what my body's gonna do? It's gonna take a nap. If you are sleepy or hungry, those always win. You can't really focus. I can't speak for you. I can't focus if I'm that hungry or that tired. So instead of trying to multitask and do all these things right here, right now in this kind of frenetic pace, I need to eat. I need to sleep. When sleep is what is called for, I need to sleep. I need to rest. Um, my body doesn't always know the difference between being actually asleep or just kind of laying down, and that's okay. That actually works just as well to recharge. I, having gotten a master's degree in my own emotional awareness, I know that 1 hour of sleep gives me about 2 extra hours of being awake. And if you think about the 8 hours of recommended sleep, it's like 7 to 9 now because we're updating and adjusting. Um, that's the same ratio. If we're asleep for 8 hours and we're up for 16 hours, that equals the whole 24 hours in a day. So that might be true for many people where it's a 1 hours of sleep to 2 hours of productivity. Also, doing nothing. I have a really hard time doing nothing. I don't know how to not do, which made vacations difficult. And really just allowing, being generous. I remember I went to the Bahamas once, and I was gonna be on a budget, and I got an apartment instead of a hotel, so I had a kitchen. I didn't cook in that kitchen. Maybe once, but I was like, oh, I can go to the grocery store and cook. No, I ate out because I was on vacation. And that's what I needed. I needed to not have the responsibility of those daily things. Also in grad school, that was a new thing I tried. It was an experiment, was living with other people. Prior to that point, I had lived by myself for all of my adult life. And so living with other people, because in a dissertation, I reached a point where I literally couldn't have the responsibility of having to pay kind of multiple bills all at once. So I needed all inclusive. Like, I'll pay you rent, and I will, if we're sharing utilities, which sometimes shared spaces do and sometimes they don't. If it's not all inclusive, I need to pay that one time. I don't want to parse out every single bill. Tell me how much I owe you for the month so that I can get that done and not have that to be my responsibility. Because again, a dissertation takes a whole lot out of you. It's kind of like academic Olympics. So think about the level of preparation that Olympians have, because they are literally one of the best 10 people in the world at their craft. And getting a doctoral dissertation is similar, where my chair told me, she said, you're going to be one of maybe 5 experts on your very specific topic in the whole entire world. So the level of preparation for that. And what saved my life going from my thesis marathons to my doctoral dissertation was setting a timer, was saying that this thing has an end point. The marathons they would just go on until I basically collapsed. But for 4 or 5 days straight, that's a terrible way to do really anything. And so getting myself into the groove, also understanding that each part of my dissertation, for instance, had a different groove to it. And so when I got to a new part and tried the thing from before, it didn't work. So I had to adjust it and tweak it. And that's also, I would say that's also taking breaks. That's also giving your body and your brain the time and space to reconstitute in a slightly different way, to adjust and say, oh, this thing isn't working, let me try it a different way. And usually it was just a simple tweak. It might have been timing. Different parts of my dissertation, I was much more available mentally at different times of the day. So really learning that about myself. But the key here is taking breaks. It's taking time away from the thing that you're working on, that you're focused on. It's called, there's a research methodology called organic inquiry. And in organic inquiry, one of the stages is the catonic state, which is, we mostly use that in plant life. It's when the seed has been planted, but it really needs the darkness. And in the darkness, it breaks open and sprouts roots and then starts reaching upward toward the sun. So we need that catonic state also, to really allow ideas to marinate and come together in a new way. Sometimes it is a breaking open and a rooting in and then reaching up for the sun. But note that plants don't reach for the sun until they've rooted in. So just keep that in mind as you go about your day and your tasks and whatever it is you're focused on. Remember to take breaks. Remember to eat and remember to sleep adequately. And the thing will still be there in the morning, I promise you. And every now and again, of course, that's not the case, but in our general day-to-day lives, take breaks, rest, release, rejuvenate, and let things come together in a new way. That is, in fact, how many people who we consider geniuses, that is where and how some of their most genius ideas or most well-known ideas came about, was that they took time away to let their brain rest and build different neural pathways. All right, y'all, it's running long, right? Because I can't see. This is the problem with my glasses. I don't wear contacts anymore. And so without my glasses on the wrong angle in this particular space, I can't see the time. So this whole season has been like closer to 10 minutes than 5. But that was all important. I feel like this one would have been 10 minutes anyway, because I really did need to get all of that in. All right, y'all. Dr. Charli here. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook at Dr. Charli Brown, also drcharlibrown.com, where everything is gathered, all the things that I'm doing, all the projects that I'm working on. And I have a special project on Instagram called We Love Noting. So check that out too, and come and join me with writing love notes to ourselves and our world. And until we meet again, I want you to take great care.